Hello, welcome to the Vomit Podcast, an extension of the Vomit series of podcasts. As always, I'm your host, Mac Taylor, and today we are here to talk about Thursday's edition of Big Brother Canada 9, episode 26. As we are winding down here, we only have one more week left. 3 more episodes of BBCAN 9, and we're done. And that's crazy, guys. It has been a hell of a ride. As we know, BBCAN 8 did not really get to finish. It just started building momentum as it came crashing down. And so, this was the first full BBCAN season we've had in a long time. So it was very nice to do it. We've had a lot of differences than the status quo. It's been a wild ride this season for various reasons. And I've had just a lot of fun doing this. And if we're going to compare it to some other seasons of reality TV I've watched in the past few years, this is some pretty good stuff. It sometimes was frustrating with how much sense it didn't make and how much these people kind of went out of their way to just do random shit that made no sense. But I think we'll look back on this and be really appreciative of just how different Big Brother Canada 9 is from most seasons of modern Big Brother. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right in. Not a shit ton to talk about here. This probably isn't going to be a super long recap, which is great for people wanting to view it. And also, we are going to do a wee bit of spoiler feed stuff at the end. At the very end, and I will let you know when that's coming. So if you do not want that, you can hop out at that time. But, for a little bit, we're going to talk about the episode proper. So, go ahead and strap yourselves in. Let's get going. So we start out, and even the announcer shit talks Beth's constant yelling and crying, which I was like, that is awesome. Like maybe the editors know, even more than the feedsters, how much he does this, because as anyone who watches the feeds knows, they're down a lot. So, but these editors, they have to watch all this bullshit, the things that we don't even want to see. They have to sift through just hours and hours of just nothing to find these things for the episodes. Obviously, which with a strategy-based game, it's a lot easier than say like BBUK to have to find these snippets, put it into the episode proper. I like that the announcer's like, will she ever stop yelling and crying? Find out on this episode of Big Brother Canada. I was like, yeah, he knows, he gets it. And we start out, things are looking real bad for Beth. It's pretty much the writing is on the wall. Beth's going home. And for a lot of viewers, this is a good thing. Although, I will say, I'm glad Beth was on this season. She's provided a lot of entertainment and a lot of reason, but like, just these last like 3 to 4 weeks, it's been like stressful for me to have to listen to her all the time. Like legit has like taken a lot of my energy just to hear what she says 90% of the time. So like I said, it does get a little hard to do this all the time. It's been stressful. So the fact that she's probably going all week, I've just been looking forward to it, because I'm like, okay, it's time. Like you made it really far. You had an impact on the season. For my mental and physical health, it's time for you to go. Also, Bray completely ready for it, because, all week Beth's been like, listen, Bray, Ty said your name and blah, blah, blah. And Bray already knows about this. Bray was in on the Jed plan. So, he's just tired of hearing the pitches. When someone just keeps coming up to you and saying like the same thing over and over again, it's really taxing to have to keep listening. So Beth then's going to shit talk Bray's moves, which again, she's like, he should be taking a shot at Kiefer, which, yeah, probably, because Kiefer's the front runner potentially, but also it's not like Beth has nothing going on in the jury. There's not, if she's there with Keith, she loses, but if Beth took Bray, she could probably win at this point. Maybe with all these comp wins, he's building some momentum, but still, we don't know how this jury is exactly thinking from day to day. So And also, Beth's not working with Bray. She's never had his best intentions in mind. And really, Ty didn't either until, this last week because it was necessary for his path to the end. But he has a better shot of getting there with Ty than he does with Beth. And it doesn't make sense. And, yes, he probably should have taken the shot at Kiefer. But if he wasn't going to take the shot at Kiefer, he should have taken the shot at Beth. So she's like, if I had an HOH, I'd have made a big move. I'm like, Beth, you had an HOH, and you had a chance to make the move on your own, and instead you let Jed and Ty make that move with you. Like, don't talk about people squandering their HOHs. You've done that shit before too. So, and also she's like, he should have backdoored Keith. And I was like, again, it's not a backdoor if everyone plays the veto. The literal whole point that the backdoor plan exists is because Jace was good at vetoes and they needed to find a way to not put him in a veto comp. It's literally why that term exists. So when you use the term, but the definition you use the term for is the literal opposite of what it's meant to be, that's not what that term should be applied with. So it really, what really grinds my gears? People not using their big brother terminology right. That's what really grinds my gears these days. That's what's going on in Mac's head. And Ty's also, like most of us, over Beth and her whining at this point. And yes, Ty has done a lot of unnecessary lying and a lot of unnecessary actions, he went from just a goofy, fun-loving dude to I am the villain now. But it's not really. But also I get it. She's just you were part of the plan too. And really, he was never really going to keep Jed. He just didn't want Beth to know that. So as far as Beth knows, he was flip-flopping back and forth. But in all reality, he was all in to get Jed out pretty much the whole time that week. And also, she was the one that kept coming up to them and being like, but you feel bad, right? But oh, yeah, it's too dirty. Maybe next week. And he kept being like, no, it's got to be now. So I don't know why she says well, you were flip-flopping too. It's do you mean yes, in the terms of I was having those conversations that you brought onto the table, but I never presented you with those ideas. So I don't know why you think by proxy they're my ideas. That's not how that works, Beth. And then he brings up, he's like, you remember when Tara, before she put her noms up last week, how you were like, I'm not touching the block. And you were completely over the moon confident. So no, and part of your confidence was knowing that I would probably go up and not you. So now that it flipped, now you're mad at me, but I was expendable to you, which is true because she would have rather kept Jed over Ty. Because she thought it was going to be Jed and Ty on the block. And if they couldn't use the veto to save one of them, she was going to vote out Ty. So he is correct. But he's unnecessarily just arguing with her when he does really need to try to worry about her vote because she can sway Jed's votes. Really, your ability to talk to Beth could probably sway 2 jury votes. And that's huge in a jury of 7. You need 4. That's 2. That's half of what you need right there. If you just, reel it in a little bit. And she's like, well, you didn't care about Rachel last week. So, I don't know why you're playing him like this. And just, keeps going on about it. He's like, that's when we get the line that I used for last week's thumbnail. Just enjoy jury, Beth, because he just gets so frustrated with the conversation and he can't really help himself. And also we learn from Arissa that Wednesday, we're going to go down to the final 3. And then next Thursday is the 2-hour finale. So we're going to have a winner 1 week from last Thursday. Obviously now at time of recording, it's Friday, but still, less than a week away from having a winner of Big Brother Canada 9, which is huge. And also my winner pick, Keith, still be in there. So this is the best I've done at picking a winner of a show in years. Because my last few Survivor and Big Brother seasons, I've done horrible with draft picks. Beth trying to patch it up with Ty here. Because after it's all said and done, she's like, well, shit. I do kind of need his vote to stay. So she's like, hey, it got out of hand. We were supposed to be, final two. I still want to take you to the end, and I think you'll beat me, which I don't think is true. I think Beth will win against Ty in the end. But she's like, I have all intentions of taking you to the end, which could potentially be true. If she did stay and Tara went, I do think it would be between Bray and Ty, but I think she might actually take Ty. So she probably was telling the truth here, but again, she probably wins, and Ty wouldn't want to take that chance. They talk about the, needing Keith to go at 4, and how the Sunsetters really fell apart because it was supposed to be them in the Final 4, and instead there's a potential to only have 2 of them in the Final 4. But for Keith, it started when they nominated him. That's for him. That's what happened. He was loyal to the soil until Jed said loyalty to everyone, loyalty to no one. And for Ty, he just knew he couldn't beat Jed. And it's as simple as that. Like, I couldn't beat him. He got to go. But for Beth, like, her whole world has fallen apart. She went from completely safe, never going to touch the block, just riding it out with these guys, and then just a big swat down for her and Jed by Ty himself and Keith. And Ty straight up tells her, like, hey, yeah, you're probably going home. I'm probably going to vote you out, which is good. You need to, like, let people you need to kind of soften the blow for people going into the jury house, because you need them to vote for you. So, if you are going to vote them out, and we've already played the veto, the writing's on the wall, it's probably beneficial to say, hey, you're probably going to go home. But, like, look, let me, if we want to talk about this, we'll talk about it. It's just better for my game, blah, blah, blah. You don't want someone going to the jury house super pissed off at you, because then they're just going to talk to all the other people who could also maybe have some qualms with you. And the next thing you know, you're probably not going to win. Jury management is key. There's a reason why Paul Abrahamian is a 2-time runner-up to this game, because he didn't know how to manage the jury. He didn't know how to just sometimes you need to tell the truth, because trust me, lying is great. It will get you far in these games. But when it comes to, you needing these people's votes, sometimes it's easier just to tell them what's going on. More so in your goodbye messages, but like here, like when Beth knows he's going to vote her out, when Jed knew Ty was against him, all he had to say was, hey, yeah, listen, for the betterment of my game, you have to go. And everyone else is voting you out too. And I'm not going to be the one that goes against that grade. And I don't think Jed or Beth can be mad at that. They can argue it, but at the end of the day, when they go to the jury and they settle down and they really think about how things played out, they will be very appreciative at how open and honest Ty would have been in that moment. But for some reason, he just feels the need to lie all the way up. But for here, he actually tweaked it just a little bit. Then things get super teary. And then just, because Beth only has 2 emotions. Is it loud, screaming, happy, and yelling and crying. Those are the only 2 sides to Beth I think I've ever really seen this whole season. So Beth tries to then sway Keith. So basically she goes right to Keith and just flips the pitch. Ty's threat, Ty needs to go. Me and you in the final 2. And Ty had his ear against the door and kind of hears a lot of the conversation. And he's like, done with her. But yeah, but I understand completely what Beth's trying to do. Keith and Ty are the votes you need, but you really only need 1 if you can get Bray to split it. But still, if she can get Keith on her side, that's something she didn't have. But if she, unlike Ty, where I think she could probably beat him in the final 2, she's not beating Keith. From what I know about this jury, Keith is going to win if he gets to the final 2. It is imperative that they take him out at 4 or 3. Like if he goes to in the end, we could even see a unanimous vote. That's how much traction Keith has gotten. And like I said, in a normal, like a standard player season where like everyone, like we might have like a couple of really good strategic players, Keith would probably not be in that spot. But because we've had a lot of like BCD level players, Keith's like a B+ player. Okay. And a lot of these people are C minus, D plus players. So like when you compare those, yes, he's nailing it. But like if you put him in like a house where people are really, going at it the right way, I don't know. I'm not saying it's impossible. Like if he did come back for All-Stars, because Big Brother Canada, I hope has All-Stars in the future, and I hope it goes better than the BBUS one did this last time. If Keith does come back for that, and you have people like Anthony and Netta or Ika or Kevin Martin or Jordan Parhar, if he comes around on coming back to the show, or Paris or Kayla or Johnny. There's a lot of issues trying to beat those players in the way he would be beating these players. So I would be very interested to see someone like Keith or even Ty in an all-star scenario. Especially Spicy V. I think if we're doing all-star, Spicy V is like a lock. But she couldn't even fool these people. So I'm very curious on what happens during All-Star. She could end up being the final 2 GOAT, but I'm getting way ahead of myself with talking about that. But these are the things that keep me up at night. So then he's like, hey, they have another blow up where Ty's like, you just told Kiefer the same pitch that you told me. And she's like, well, yeah, of course I had to do what I had to do, which is true. But that's not how you get out of these conversations. Like, it just doesn't work out that way. It's like he heard you saying like he's a threat after you had that whole heartfelt conversation. No matter what, how bad you needed to have that conversation, you got caught. So like, like at that point, like you got me there. Because she brags about comp knowledge. She's like, Keith, I can win these last couple of comps. I know my days. I know the male female stuff. I know who won what on what day. I'm like, that's the opposite of what you need to say, Beth. Because the fact that you know all your days and you could probably win these last couple comps that are going to be in the end game of BBCAN, people don't want to lose. Like, wouldn't Keith rather himself win those? Like, if you're such a threat to win those comps, that's an even bigger reason for you not to be there in the end. So the fact, it's just like Keith last week saying, it would probably benefit your game if you took me out, but I really hope you don't do that. That's like the complete opposite of what you should tell someone. It baffles me sometimes with these people. So then Keith and Beth, this is the most random fucking thing. That's the thing about Big Brother Canada, though. We could have like crazy ass game shit going on, and then we'll cut to the most ridiculous nothing segment, and it's awesome for that. So the Keith and Beth have to count raccoons to get a barbecue, and the other house guests are going to try to distract them. But no matter what happens, everyone's getting the barbecue if they get this correct. But if they ended up distracted and they lost, would the whole house have also got a barbecue? This felt like just a bunch of unnecessary things, but at the same time, it was pretty interesting television. And also, Beth was way too hype about this whole thing. She was way too excited, but that's Beth. She's either super excited or just super sad and angry. And I did like how Ty tried to distract them by like working out on them. Like he put his feet up on like Beth's chair, was like doing push-ups, and like that was pretty fun. And like Bray was like popping up with the Rentera, were popping up with the raccoons. We got about all we could have out of that idea. And again, there's like no stakes when you find out how this is going to turn out, but they did what they could to make this entertaining. And you know what? You gave it your all, BBCAN. I appreciate that. Because also when Ty's working out on them too, Keith's like burping on him. He's like, you're gonna make me throw up. You can't do that. And I'm like, like Ty throws up so easily. I'm a little worried for him. And then also like Keith goes to pee. And he's like, hey, you keep counting while I go pee. And like all these raccoons start coming out, and Beth's like, trying to count them all. I'm like, okay, production, you're doing them dirty. However, they end up winning. There was like 500 something raccoons that popped up. They win the barbecue, get to have just a nice Webster Grill promotional, where Grill Master Keith gonna make some steaks and hot dogs and various meats on the grill. Everyone gets to have like a little reprieve before the 5 turn to 4. So you know what? At the end of the day, we're cool. And then we get the jury segment where, again, Vic makes a floater joke. She's like, "Oh, there's Tara floating," and it's like, again, guys, I could see why you would say Tara was floating, but like after what Jed presents them with, I think that comment becomes very irrelevant. Maybe that's why they kept it in this segment, because of maybe how it's going to change. Because I think Tara's stock in the game does go up. But Vic also can't stop making floater jokes, because in Vic's mind, if you're not making these crazy moves that make no sense, you're not playing the game. So, to her, everyone's a floater, but her. So the jury's shocked to see Jed, because they were hoping a triangle member would come in, but they probably thought it would be like Beth or Ty before it would be Jed, because they thought, Jed at this point was like the front runner to win the game. And he tells them all about the fake double and all the crazy shit that went down, and how he got betrayed and all that, how he didn't use the veto on himself. And like Tina's reactions were like, Ro did like a good, like, oh, run around thing. But like, and Vic's like, wait, you won the veto, but you're here. That was fun. But like Tina, her reactions were gold, because she was like, oh, Tara won oh no, oh, you did. It's like she had like full body spasms with her reactions. It was great. I really miss Tina in the house, man. I really miss her being in there. But really, if you want to look at the season and talk about like people who had potential and should probably come back, we're probably a lot of the pre-jury, honestly. But like, I'd love to see Julie get another shot. I'd love to see Josh get another shot, just because, especially Julie, because Julie didn't really get to play the game proper. If there was like an actual HOH and not the team thing, Julie would not have gone out first. So I really think of the whole cast, if someone deserves a second chance, it's probably Julie. I would like to see Josh come back, and I'd like to see LT come back too, because LT, had Vic not taken that shot, LT would have been a big part of the game. And I would have been very interested to see how that played out, because I think her going is what led to this whole flip-flop, wishy-washy whole thing the Sunsetters did, because LT was kind of the backbone and the mind behind that alliance. So I'm very curious to see if she were to get a second chance, how that would look. So that's probably the 3 people I think really deserve a second chance, because they really didn't get to play their own games. Also, we get in the jury segment just how Vic is terrible at being outdoors with the bug spray and stuff. Fun stuff. Vic knows how to turn something into nothing into something. Like she knows how to give good TV. I can appreciate that. And then we get to skip the dishes, which Keith does win, and we know from the feeds Beth got a little salty about it, but like, you guys just got that whole grill thing, so you just ate normal food. Like, you'll be fine. You'll be held over. And also, you're going to the jury house, and you can eat whatever the fuck you want to in the jury house. You'll make it. You'll survive. And then Beth's like, I have all this knowledge about the days. I won't even get to use it, man. I'm like, Beth, stop talking about good comps you are if you're trying to stack. And then Keith's like, hey, you never know. You might not go. And Tara's sitting right there. And I'm like, Kiefer, what are you doing? Even if you want it, even if you're thinking about it, and even if you want to tell Beth, hey, it may not be over yet, don't do it in front of Tara. Because if Tara wins HOH next week, she's gonna be like, Keith, go fuck yourself. Like, what was all that about? It was, I don't know. Again, what Keith's the front runner, and he does things that make total sense. But then you just shit like this, and you're like, what are you doing, man? So Beth makes a final plea to Bray and Ty, which is basically her just telling Bray not to trust Ty and how big of a piece of shit he is. And And Ty's like, I don't even care about jury management, which I get it. That's been very taxing. But I think that statement is really going to be like, because there's a good chance Ty's going to go to the end. And this statement here, I think, is really going to be how we sum up his game. There's going to how people do those videos on the character profiles, reality TV, and like what, like to Sean, I don't know his last name. To Sean, why you should care about jury management. Very clear example, I think, at the end of the game. Well, we'll see, because I think there's a pretty big chance Ty goes there. So we get to vote. It's unanimous. Both Keith and Ty evict Beth. And I took a big breath. The end game's going to be less stressful for me. And Arista did the swerve thing where she was like, Tara, you are safe. And I like how how Arista knows when to do that. Because sometimes Julie does it when there's not really a lot of, you want to do it when it's up in the air, or like when both noms really don't know who's going to go home, or even if like it does seem pretty clear, like there's still that chance. You want the reaction of like, and then the swerve. So I think Arista knows. I think her most famous one was during the JP eviction. The whole, Godfrey, you are safe. Like that. Perfect example of why Arista is just a grade A host of this show. And Beth talks about her only regret is not taking a shot at Keith, which, yes, again, if you're going to start to take the shot, finish the shot, because you might not get it again. Agreed. But you made plenty more mistakes. It wasn't just the Kiefer thing. You weren't playing this perfect game and then just got blown up. Like, you made a series of mistakes along the way that by the time you were open, the armor had been broken up so much that you were just, that was it. She really, I think when she leaves the house, and again, I hope all the internet hate doesn't get to her. I hope she's able to know, you're on a TV show. People don't always love everyone in the cast. There's people, but she was the person we loved to hate, as far as like, she was the internet bonded by shitting on Beth. So, take that with what you will. But at the end of the day, she is a human being. And I hope she's doing, when she leaves the house, she doesn't take all this to heart, and she can just really be at peace with her experience. But when she does reflect on her game and, see how it aired and see what it looks like and just kind of, reflects on it, I hope she figures out that it wasn't just the Keith move and the mistakes she made, that she didn't play her own game. And she was way too back and forth to really, really be a front runner in the season. I hope she reflects on that. Really do. Because I think there are times when Beth does seem like she has the thought of like how she could do well, but then because she was in the triangle, she just would throw those thoughts to the side and do something really stupid. So again, I hope the reflection happens postseason. So then we get the HOH, which they're in the game room, and they show you like people who played in a veto, and you have to say who went home that week, which I think is actually a really good memory comp. And again, Beth knew her days. This probably would have been good for her on paper. Again, she only won one comp, so I really don't know her prowess. But Ty gets a point there, and then we get a tease. The episode ends there. It's like, tune in Monday to find out his HOH. Now, I will be talking about who won HOH and who they nominated. So if you do not want feed spoilers, I'll see you Tuesday for the Monday recap. If you're okay with hearing about what went down on the feeds as far as HOH and the noms, stick around. There's only going to be a few minute conversation. But again, if not, hop on out. See you next time. Stay safe, stay nerdy. So here we go. Hope you're all prepared. So we learned that Ty has won the head of household and has nominated Keith and Tara. That seemed pretty much on paper if he does plan on taking Braden to the finals. And again, veto has not been played. We don't know. Veto could completely change the outcome. But I think as of right now, the shot should be to take out Kiefer. Now, will they actually go through and take that shot on Kiefer, that has yet to be seen. Because I think they're going to be like, well, Tara took out Jed twice, so we clearly have to get rid of her, which is the complete wrong read. Keith is the front runner. And again, that's my winner pick. For my ego, I would love if Keith won. But if anyone else but Keith, if I'm in anyone else but Keith's shoes, Keith's got to go. So again, we don't really know how it's going to go. This house always goes back and forth. You never truly know who's going to go home until Arissa announces it. And that's not just me saying that. That's like this season legit. Like you don't know until it happens. So that being said, I'm excited for Ty. He's trying to build that resume. But again, I really don't know if he can win. It's especially after the whole Beth thing and her probably going to go to Jed and talk about it and kind of sway Jed's favor. I don't know. I think if he goes with Bray combined with Bray's comp wins, I think Bray may win. So, which is great for Bray. And I wouldn't mind that. All the final four, I am totally fine with them winning. They've all done some amount of work that would, Tara's probably my least favorite to win because, she was evicted and I'm not a big fan of someone getting voted out and then coming back to win the game. But she came back literally she was only out of the game for an hour. So maybe not even that. So that's not a big deal, but still, and also she really didn't do a whole hell of a lot until Tina was already gone. So, I would love to see someone like Kiefer Ty win, but again, any one of these final four, I would be rest easy knowing they won the season. So that's going to end this coverage of the podcast. Stay tuned next time. We're going to be talking about the Monday edition of the episode proper, and we head into our final week of Big Brother Canada 9 as we put this season to bed. So until next time, stay safe. Most importantly, stay nerdy.